Hey everyone! So, I worked real hard to make this fun, silly kill count, only for it to be demonetized by YouTube as soon as I uploaded it. I probably should have known that they wouldn't be a big fan of this movie's marijuana use, even though weed's mostly legal now, or this movie's nudity, even though it's all censored. But releasing it demonetized would have sucked, since it took my editors and me a ton of work to make it. Thankfully, Movement came to the rescue to sponsor this episode, thus saving my ass once again. Y'all know Movement mostly for their sleek, affordable watches. But this time, I'm here to talk about their Everscroll glasses that block blue light from digital screens. With all the time we spend staring at our phones and TVs, like when we're binging dead meat videos, our brains are always being tricked by artificial blue light into thinking it's still daytime when it's not. These stylish glasses may not hide bloodshot eyes, but they can block all that blue light by providing up to 420 nanometers of UV protection. That's why I like to use them when I spend long hours editing. So go to mvmt.cc/deadmeat to get 15% off your order along with free shipping and returns. That link is in the description, and you can also use the promo code DeadMeatJames at checkout. That's mvmt.cc/deadmeat, or just use promo code DeadMeatJames at checkout. Another huge thanks to Movement, seriously, for coming through like this. Without further ado, here's the kill count for frickin' Evil Bong, man. Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today, in honor of Double 420 Day, we're looking at the stoner horror comedy Evil Bong, released direct-to-video in 2006. Evil Bong was directed by Charles Band, the owner of Full Moon Features, which made Demonic Toys, covered last year in a Kill Count, and the Puppet Master series, which I'll get to one day. Even though my editor Zoran nearly died after doing a 17-hour marathon of the franchise. If you need a reminder of what Charles Band is all about, though, just take a look at these clips from his mid-aughts horror roadshow. A bikini-clad woman swallowing fire while dudes in cheap monster masks jump around her is pretty much the epitome of the Bandian aesthetic. That aesthetic is cheap and sleazy, which Evil Bong faithfully adheres to. It was shot in just a week on a single cheap-looking set. Oh, sorry, wait a minute. Make that 2 cheap-looking sets. But that's it. There are literally only 2 locations in this movie. I guess that's what you get when you base a movie entirely around a title you came up with one day.
And we were talking about, I guess, bongs.
And spend less than 2 months developing the idea in pre-production.
He came up with this project 6 weeks ago, and he has been able to put this masterpiece together.
Yeah, you heard her right. She said masterpiece, because the people involved in making this thing were very, very excited about it.
You'll see tits eat hands.
Like the similarly silly Thanksgiving, which also had a micro budget, Evil Bong's a really bad movie. But, I don't know. I guess we can commend the actors for completely committing to the film's absurdities. That goes a long way. But Evil Bong is mostly a dumb movie, with way too much of its runtime taken up by lengthy shots of unenthused topless dancers. It seems to think that boring, everyday stoner antics are funny enough to fill entire scenes. Which, I can assure you, based on my shitty short films in college, they are not. 2 things before we begin. First, I'm just doing this movie as a fun little one-off. Sorry, but I'm not gonna spend all my time right now covering this entire franchise, which means you're gonna have to miss out on me talking about Evil Bong 2, King Bong, Evil Bong 3D, The Wrath of Bong, Evil Bong 420, Evil Bong High Five, Evil Bong 666, Evil Bong 777, and the non-canonical crossover film Ginger Dead Man vs. Evil Bong. Which, I mean, why would I even cover that last one anyway, without having first looked at the Ginger Dead Man, Ginger Dead Man 2, Passion of the Crust, or Ginger Dead Man 3, Saturday Night Cleaver. The other thing to note is that for the first time in over 2 years, we're gonna have ourselves a capture count, since, much like in the previous capture counts movie, Krampus, the victims here don't get outright murdered. Instead, they wind up locked inside the Evil Bong's evil chamber. Will they stay forever trapped, or will they find a token to freedom? Let's find out and get to the captures. The movie begins with a ganja man, and your first guess as to what music is playing during these opening credits? It's exactly right.
Feeling for it every day, you know I want that Mary Jane.
Alistair McDowell is a nerdy, narc-looking college student who's looking for a room to rent. That leads him to Larnell, this stoner Joe Beretta-looking guy played by John Patrick Jordan, who would go on to get rejected by Peggy Olson during one of Paul Kinsey's bohemian parties.
And you know you want to.
Eugene, I'm in the persuasion business, and frankly, I'm disappointed by your presentation.
Larnell welcomes Alistair as a new roommate and gets so excited about having his rent money that he slips into an accidental case of ADR.
Yeah, I mean, this is all good. This is all you. This kingdom, this castle, you are officially a part of the experience, bro.
Wow, that dubbing was so poorly done, I seriously thought this movie was about to have some Wonder Year style narration for a second. Much to Alistair's surprise, the apartment is a studio, meaning everyone lives in this one single space, the cheaper to film them in. In addition to Larnell, Alistair will also be living with surfer guy on the couch Bachman, who's called Bach, not Batch, for short, meaning when you call for him, you can sometimes sound like a chicken.
Bach!
The fourth and final roomie is Brett, the douchiest of them all, who enjoys curling 3-pound dumbbells and lampshading Alistair's archetype.
Revenge of the Nerds 12 just called. They're looking for extras.
Alistair's new roommates are a real gang of winners. Brett's an ex-baseball player who was kicked off the team for lighting up. Larnell's a trust fund law school dropout whose cash has recently been cashed. And Bachman's, well, I mean, look at him.
Great. I can't hear the ocean anymore. I think you busted it.
As you've probably guessed, they spend all their time getting high, and although Alistair doesn't partake, he ain't one to judge. He's fine being the token non-toker in the apartment. You sure you don't want to even try any, Alistair?
Yeah, but on those secondhand highs, I guarantee you plenty of that transportation.
Yeah, sure. What the fuck was that guy even trying to say? Now that he's got Alistair's rent money, Larnell can afford a bong out of High Times magazine. And not just any bong, but a haunted bong from New Orleans.
Because if there's one thing this pad is lacking, it's a killer fucking bong, man.
As Brett lets the camera know, Bach's right. Wait, what the fuck? This movie's got interstitial transitions? What is this, a fucking Star Wars? Anyway, the evil bong arrives in a big brown box, courtesy of Delivery Man Rabbit, who, despite his leporine name and unsettling smile, is a professional.
I'm a professional.
See? Delivery Man Rabbit was played by Sonny Davis, a Full Moon regular who was in Seed People and Bad Channels, and who seems like he was a real jokester on set.
I stole some stuff from craft services, some cookies and stuff, because I'm homeless right now. So they've been very generous and I've gotten away with that.
This bong's a big old beauty, although I must note here that they never once fill her with water. It's the title object and they're using her incorrectly. As they light this baby up for the first time, we get the first inevitable Cottonmouth King's needle drop. Though it will not be the last. The scene is more drawn out than the hits they're taking from those hoses, but if you like Johnny Richter's flow, it ain't all that bad, I guess. Later on, as the guys take hands in pants naps, the evil Bong, named Evie naturally, starts glowing and whispering about being alive again. Even though Alistair wakes up and sees her, putting his face all up in her space to make sure he's not crazy, he apparently never mentions it, because 24 hours later, they're back at the bong again. Bach's headed for a green out when Brett arrives with the movie's two human female characters, Luann, his snippy girlfriend, and Janet, who's more of a final girl type. And shout out to actor Kristen Green, who does a good job acting natural in contrast to the cartoon characters all around her. After she playfully flirts with Alistair, Larnell offers the ladies a hit from his new bong. Luann turns him down though, in part because of the bong's appearance.
It's gigantic. Yeah, a gigantic outhouse white trailer trash wouldn't even crap in. It's so gross.
Wow, tell us how you really feel, right?
It looks like an old moldy dick.
Oh, that's... okay. Later that night, Evie comes back to life and, much like the Street Profits, she wants the smoke, so she takes it from Bachman's head, or something. This brain-sucking generates a fantasy world within Evie's chamber that's personalized for Bachman, which means lots of topless dancers and, for some reason, a problematic puppet, on loan from another Full Moon feature, Doll Graveyard. It's also got Phil Fondacaro, reprising a role from another Charles Band movie called Decadent Evil, though to me, it just looks like he's cosplaying playing Blade the Puppet. He tells Bachman to beware of Evie's siren ways.
We have everything here that you desire.
But the Bachman doesn't listen to him, and is instead immediately enticed by this chick who approaches him with goth boobs.
Goth boobs, huh?
You cool with goth boobs, Bach?
That's cool.
Yeah, I figured. Bachman is quickly mauled by those goth boobs, but remember, not to death. It's just capturing him somehow. Not sure how that works. It's especially confusing since the next morning, after Larnell notices his bong is looking a little more detailed there, the others realize that Bachman is dead on the couch.
Oh my god. He's expired.
Yo, if I learned anything from Dead Man on Campus, you mofos just got straight A's. Alistair tries to call the police, but the others don't want to get in trouble for their illicit activities. Before they can fully decide on what to do, a knock at the door sends them scrambling to cover up Bachman's corpse on the futon. Their visitor is Larnell's grandfather, Cyril, a crotchety old man who doesn't have a high regard for his grandson's cognitive abilities.
Got a mind like a urinal cake.
Tell us how you really feel, right?
I only hope that one day convicts will feast upon your scrotum sack.
Wow, the characters in this movie don't really hold anything back, do they? Cyril's here to tell Larnell that he's finally gotten remarried, and here's his new wife, Rosemary.
It's like fever. My body takes fire when I see ya.
Okay, I love this little old lady, whose actor, May Laborde, was 97 here, and who would go on to be in a couple Always Sunny episodes.
All right, Gladys, can you head out there and get us started?
Oh, I forgot to tell you, Calvin Coolidge was a good friend of mine.
You've been telling me that Calvin Coolidge was a friend of yours, like, all morning. And at a certain
How many
point,
times?
like 100 times now.
Oh.
She died in 2012 at the age of 102, and that's absolute boss status to me, even if she wasn't exactly 420 friendly.
It isn't a good thing for anybody to take it. Their mind becomes weak. Eventually, they'll start burglarizing, stealing.
The dudes all seem to be shocked by her appearance, even though it's not like she's a gremlin. She's just a nice little sleepy old lady. Don't let that fool you, though.
You wouldn't believe what a vixen she is in the sack.
Later on, after Cyril's gone, the guys get back to discussing the Bachman business at hand. With the girls coming back over later, Brett and Larnell want to just put a band-aid over this dead Bach situation and take care of it in the morning. They can just tell the cops they thought he had been sleeping. But I don't know if Alistair's gonna be down with that, Brett. It sounds pretty illegal to me. You really think a party with Janet's gonna be enough to convince him?
You're gonna get laid tonight, my friend.
I guess so. Look how excited he is to be a criminal. Another interstitial helps pass the time, and now the apartment set feels completely rearranged as Evie starts talking to a drowsy Larnell. She convinces him to smoke from her with a whole bunch of dirty talk.
Come on, Papa.
And as soon as he does, it's back to Bong World we go, where Larnell finds Bachman alive and well. He also finds Evie in her final evolved form. Yep, sorry, that's as good as she's gonna get. Full moon, you know? Larnell finds other characters lounging around Bong World too, and I'm not just talking about strippers who look vaguely uncomfortable as they dance. I'm talking about mofos like the Ginger Dead Man, though here he's voiced, as well as controlled, by the late makeup artist John Carl Buechler.
Uh-oh, I'm gonna cream.
In the original Ginger Dead Man movie, the character was voiced by Gary Busey. I'm not joking.
Oh yeah, I'm real, all right.
Larnell's happy place briefly has a Shooter McGavin-style interruption when an apparition of his curmudgeonly grandfather appears, but Larnell has Cyril wheeled away by a bouncer, allowing him to enjoy a lap dance in peace. This dancer's got a Bruce brassiere, which harpoons Larnell right onto the capture count, since it bites his hand for a good long while there. Long enough to cover his face in blood and the dancer's face in crazy. For those of you who like the behind-the-scenes stuff, I'm sorry, man, but this cheap-ass movie doesn't have any impressive gore effects for me to dig into. Larnell's shark boob attack was literally done with a spray bottle of fake blood. That's really all we're working with here, folks. Outside of Bong World's borders, the girls arrive at the apartment, mightily impressed that it no longer looks like a literal dump. They play Trivial Pursuit, the game that takes me forever to win because of that stupid fucking sports wedge, but Alistair and Janet fare just fine thanks to their shared knowledge of US history.
The Treaty of Paris.
Cheek smooch for John Jay. They move on to more botanical pursuits, giving us our second reign of the Cottonmouth Kings on the soundtrack, as Luann has a protracted and embarrassing reaction to the weed.
I'm horny. I'm horny. I'm horny. Oh.
Yo, I didn't think you could lace weed with Molly, but this chick be rolling all of a sudden. Haha, weed and pogo sticks? She should talk to Leprechaun. Those are two of his favorite things. She passes out on a chair with Brett as Janet decides to make the moves on Alistair. He has to stop her advances when he realizes Larnell hasn't moved this whole time. You know, aside from the breaths he's obviously taking there. Still, better see if he's okay, Al.
He's dead.
Oh, so not okay. Copy that. Evie seems to be doing just fine though. And in fact, Alistair and Janet witness firsthand as Brett and Luann's souls get turkey slurpeed up into her chamber. Inside Bong World, Brett and Luann find your usual Bong World strippers as well as a very special Bong World ambassador, fucking Jack in the Box from Demonic Toys. Though he doesn't look as good here as he does in his own movie. Brett gets annoyed at Luann's presence and has her hauled off by that bouncer. And since this is the last we see of her in Bong World, I'll put her on the capture count now. As for why Grandpa Cyril didn't go on the count, well, you see, he wasn't actually inside of Wait a minute, I don't have to explain myself here. This is the capture count for fucking Evil Bong. Just go with it. Like Bachman and Larnell before him, Brett runs into trouble at the lap of a Bong World dancer whose unique breast support system features lips that may or may not be made of wax and filled with sugar water. It will come as absolutely no surprise that Charles Band thought he had a real hit on his hands with these novelty bras, even briefly purchasing the domain monsterbras.com to peddle his wares.
I mean, think about it. If you wear like sort of a cool little shirt that's a little see-through when you walk into a club, are people going to pay attention?
That domain is also, not surprisingly, completely available today. Anyway, this stripper uses her lippy bra to go down on Brett's soul and capture him in Bong World, as Evie watches and laughs all the while. Evie the Evil Bong was designed by Jeff Farley of Obscure Artifacts, who had worked with Charles Band for 20 years by this point, meaning before Full Moon ever even existed, back when Charles Band was running its predecessor, Empire Pictures. Empire was another B-movie distribution company, but one that released actually good movies, like Reanimator and From Beyond. Farley based Evie on a bong that Band bought from a Los Angeles head shop on Melrose.
Charlie Band actually went out and bought a bong. But again, if you notice, it's not for use.
He designed 3 different stages for Evie's appearance and used compressed air to whip her tubes around like tentacles when she got excited. That's about the only motion she has, other than some very basic eye and mouth movements. Again, Full Moon. With Evie's chamber full of souls, she finally looks like her fully evolved form in the real world, not just in Bong World. She speaks openly to Alistair and Janet, and since Janet just smoked from her, she passes out on the couch, leaving Alistair with no one to help him.
Whoa, dude. I've been looking all over for you.
No one except for Tommy freaking Chong. What are you doing here, man?
Oh, I'm Jimbo, man. That's my bong.
Of course it is. Jimbo's here as a Deus Ex Chongina, and he tells Alistair Evie's backstory. She's a bong with a voodoo curse who killed all his friends and who nearly killed him inside of Bong World. Jimbo was barely able to escape, and he tells Alistair that it's next to impossible. But with Janet having succumbed to the smoke, Al decides to go in and rescue her. Jimbo gives Alistair some off-screen, nondescript vitamins before sending him on his trip. And honestly, he's the perfect travel agent to stamp Alistair's passport to Bong World.
Hook it up.
Oh, dude, you're coughing a bunch. You're gonna be so high, man. His lungs fully filled, Alistair passes out next to Janet, and their souls are sucked up by Evie. Inside Bong World, Alistair confronts the Evil Bong and tells her exactly what she is.
You accursed narcotic paraphernalia!
Even when she tries to deter him with her usual tactic of topless temptresses, he fights them off, not allowing himself to get distracted by anyone in there, not even Tim Thomerson, reprising his role of Jack Death from the Charles Band series Trancers. Tim Thomerson was also in another Full Moon movie called Doll Man, where he played 13-inch high space cop Brick Bardot, who, in a 1993 crossover film, would fight the demonic toys as they tried to resurrect that Demon Master kid in their warehouse. The Full Mooniverse is wild, y'all. Janet's in Bong World 2, dancing in a cage with a stripper guy in a shot that goes on for way too long. Kinda looks like Kristen Green's a little uncomfortable here. I don't like it. Though she might just be trying to keep all that body oil off of her. Alistair retrieves her from the stripper's cage as outside, in the real world, Jimbo tries and fails to destroy Evie with a hammer and then a chainsaw. When he resorts to some Acme dynamite, Evie exhausts her options stations as well, and just hotboxes the apartment until Jimbo can no longer resist. On their way out of Bong World, Alistair literally runs into a random patron played by Bill Moseley, old Chop Top himself. What are you doing here, Bill?
I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here.
Oh, okay. Earning that paycheck, I guess. As Janet succumbs to the weed's effects, Evie tells Alistair she wants to control everyone and create her own special Bong World.
Smoke clouds and oceans of bong water.
Damn, those beaches would reek. But Alistair tells her that is not right, and he takes a much less coercive stand on people's pop preferences.
People should have the right to get high when they want and if they want.
He gives Janet one of those vitamins that Jimbo provided, which instantly sobers her up. What even are those vitamins, man? Plot pills? Pop pills. Jimbo arrives in Bong World, having passed out from the weed, and he sends Alistair and Janet on their way as he resolves to go finish off the evil Bong once and for all. With some dynamite! He blows it all up, and Evie screams in torment, apparently vanquished until her half a dozen sequels. Alistair and Janet wake up and find their previously pulseless friends return to life. That means everything's good and this movie can finally end. As soon as we check in with Jimbo, that is, who's awkwardly hanging out on a somehow even cheaper looking set that's apparently meant to be the new Bong World. He's the ruler here now, which means he's surrounded by those topless dancers. Great. How many people were captured up in smoke by EB? Let's find out and get to the numbers.
Whoa, man. But I gotta do the numbers, man.
4 people were captured by the evil Bong. Maybe. 3 dudes, 1 you know what? Just go ahead and make it an all green pie chart. Or high chart even. It doesn't matter. With a runtime of 84 minutes, that left us with a capture on average every 21 minutes. I'll give the Brilliant Bong Award for coolest capture to Larnell, whose hand was bit off by some shark boobies. I guess those would be a C cup. Get it? Like the ocean? The Bogarted Blunt for lamest capture will go to Luann, who was hauled off in her stupid little tutu thing. Why was she dressed for Burning Man this whole movie? And that's it. Evil Bong came out in 2006 and is pretty fucking terrible. But hey, if it's good enough for Elvira to cover, I guess it's good enough for me. I may never cover any of those undoubtedly awful sequels, but on Friday I am covering Upgrade, so be on the lookout for that. Until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been a capture count, which is really, it's the kill count. Thanks a lot for watching this extra capture count / kill count on Evil Bong. I want to thank some patrons like Ben Espana, Noel G, Jose Cazares, Kyra Gilbert, and Madison Loves Ethan Kokoski. Kinda got 2 names in that last one, huh? I got nothing to say about this movie. Did you watch it? What do you think? See any of those sequels? Don't request for me to do them, please. Thanks everyone, be good people.